nice. It actually comes out as a notice. That's dope.
Sweet.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought it said fuck. It says tough. What's up, beautiful humans? Welcome yet again to another impromptu live with yours truly, Brian Carew, and
The Wild Naked Man.
Wild Naked Man himself. Hello. He's only wild right now, not naked.
That's right. I'm not naked, but we will be soon potentially because we're going to explore some nature cold dipping places.
We got a beautiful, we're out here in Deep Cove right now, just living it up, but oh look at, there's a beautiful 22 humans on here, so let's just, if you're a dude, I'm just gonna tell you right away, we got a self-pleasuring challenge coming up on Monday. You've probably seen lots about it. You should really join.
It's going to be super juicy.
Yeah, it's gonna be super juicy. What would be like the main reason, why would someone join this interesting, obscure challenge, you know?
Sexuality is the most upstream way that the Matrix cuts people off, especially men, from their potency. And a very specific, kind of insidious way is through what we call the gay panic. And so a really powerful way to reappropriate your potency down into your low heart of your anus, your sex organ, and your navel is to do bro bonding rituals. And the beauty of this ritual is it's for all levels. If you've never done this before, you don't have to be naked.
Yeah.
We do request that everybody keeps their camera on just so that we can create some camaraderie and safety. But that being said, you don't have to be naked, or if you want to be naked and just have the camera on your torso, totally fine. If you want to be fully naked and have the camera on your whole body, that's fine as well. Just do what feels comfortable to you. That's kind of the MO of this, is making it accessible for everybody. Yeah, it's definitely boundary pushing, but it's the Aquarian age. It's time to push some boundaries.
Exactly.
Enough dudes are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And the sexual energy will help to reappropriate and really literally refill your nuts with prana so that you're way more energized and way more juicy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a great reason. Yeah, it's basically like, you'll know, like, I think a lot of dudes, including myself when I was younger, afraid of being naked or fearful of, like, how to expand myself sexually. This is a container to learn about that, really. Of course, we're going to be, like, teaching you self-pleasuring techniques and sexual energy transmutation, but you don't need to know what that is. You don't need to... like, you partake in what you want to partake in, and as long as your camera's on to some degree, you're part of the container. That's what we try to, that's what we do is we make it as receiving as possible, so all dudes can go at their own pace, and it's more, the winning is showing up. You know, the winning's actually being in the container. It's not, there's no desired outcome except, like, showing up for yourself and getting what you need out of the experience. That's why we created the experience.
Yes, and we even have some, like, Hollywood celebrities and high-profile clients who joined the challenge and didn't feel comfortable being on the live, and that's fine too, because you'll get lifetime access to all the course content. So really, it's available to you with literally no risk in terms of, like, if you don't feel ready to, you know, be naked with a bunch of dudes on Zoom, you can still join the challenge and literally just do it in the privacy of your own space whenever you want.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So, like, for the individual who, which I have the utmost respect for, who's like, it's just too intense for me to be on screen with a group of men, or it's too confronting, then take the first step by just watching the videos and starting the practice on your own. I've worked with individuals, with men who couldn't even look at themselves naked in the mirror. And then over, you know, through this work, through what we offer, not this specific container, but a lot of this, the stuff that we offer is going to help with that. But we've been able to, I'd say you've done the same. It's like help men to address the love that they could have for their body and seeing their body as sacred and healing. You know, there's a lot of trauma that men have usually in their genital area, and that's what this is all about. So you can really you can watch those recordings on your own. You have lifetime access, so when you feel ready, it's there for you. So
yeah, it's a very juicy challenge, and that was actually my word for 2023 is juicy. Yeah. And I really, really love knowing that the way that we feel about ourselves and how well we can allow ourselves to be, not only is tied to our sexuality, but it's also tied to our ability to serve. And the better you feel, the more you allow your greatness to shine through. And then when you just walk into a room, your potency is felt and seen, and through the law of entrainment, other men's balls will literally grow and drop. Other women's pussies will slightly get a little tingle when you walk in the room. And, you know, there is a huge focus in our work on the genitalia because if you want more power in your life, you literally have to go to the place in your physical body where you've been the most traumatized. And for most humans on the planet in 2023, that is the sacred parts, as Brian calls them. And so we really work with the sacred bits to reawaken them, take the shame and the shadows out of them, and then shunt the energy up into our hearts and our brains.
Well said. To the individual who said that you can't make the calls because of work, I would still highly recommend making the investment and still doing the videos on your own. Like half the dudes in the challenge don't even join the lives, and a lot of those dudes actually get quite a bit out of it. Of course, if you're like the person who, let's see, I feel like if I do it, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it totally, like, you got to do what feels right for you. If you feel like you need the live experience, then maybe we're gonna keep doing these challenges. This is definitely gonna make a mainstay thing that we're gonna do.
Yeah, or you can work with us one-on-one.
Yeah, or you can work with us one-on-one.
Yeah, if you feel more comfortable in a one-on-one context, or if you're not able to make these specific live times, one-on-one work can be really good with either Brian or me.
Yeah, it's definitely like that's the most potent option, is like this. So the container we have for self-pleasuring, it's like, the way I see it is it's its own potency of men coming together. We're not going to go like super deep into these things, because like we're going to give you a taste, it's like a sample of like what's possible, but
yeah, it's all levels.
Yeah, but if you really want to go deep, like you want to master your orgasm, or you want to master the energy moving through your body, if you want to become sovereign, it takes time. We got to detoxify ourselves, not just from the material world, but from the narratives and the culture and the conditioning that's been passed on from age upon age. That's in your DNA, and this work is helping to create a new pathway where it's actually transformative in that sense. We're actually changing our biology, and hopefully changing our sons and our daughters in the way that they think and the way they perceive themselves. So
it's dropping gay, it's de-armoring.
Yeah.
It's dropping straight, it's even dropping bisexual, and just stepping into more potency together. And people always say, oh, well, like, I'm a gay man, and you always talk about, increasing your procreative potentiality. Can I join? And we say, of course, as long as you're not somebody who's going to be triggered by me talking about both penises and anuses and penises in yonis, because we talk about both, because the technology, for example, of a dude putting his penis inside of his bro's butthole, that's literally heart to root. And so many men are ungrounded. So that's a way that you can ritualistically ground your bro, and also gift him a little bit of testosterone through the releasing of the seed into the butthole. Now, I don't call that gay, because gay is actually a word from the Matrix that's designed to instill a sense of shame and limitation upon how you choose to share intimacy with life. You see, the thing is with these labels, gay, straight, bi, trans, all these things, even Jewish, Spanish, just any kind of label, they all come with baggage. And so there's a time and a place for them, but in the context of these bro bonding containers, it's really about dropping all the labels and really feeling who you are on an endocrine system level rather than a brain level.
Yeah, exactly. And this is like, we say this so often because it needs to be said again and again and again, because again, the conditioning is deep. Humans, we naturally want to find ourselves in the group. And we've used labels as like, okay, I fit in the group. But the reality of it is you're a unique expression of consciousness. And I love what you said. It's like, this isn't gay, it's how I'm interacting with life. It's how I'm expressing myself with life. So, you can use a label maybe sometimes if someone, you want to use language, but don't let yourself be confined by it. Like if you're starting to stress out and be like, I don't fit into this label, what's wrong with me? Flip the script. I don't fit into this label, what's wrong with the label?
Yeah. Don't feel like you need to conform to labels. Let linguistics conform to you. Exactly. Use it just like in yoga. Don't feel like you need to conform to the pose. Let the pose conform to you. You are the guru.
Exactly. When people say, the classic thing when people say, life isn't happening to you, you're happening to life, your life. What they mean by that is what we're talking about here. Don't take at hand value, like this is the label, this is the way it's done, this is how you have to do it. You get to decide. You're the living embodiment of consciousness. So it's like if something doesn't work for you, I'm not saying be like necessarily anarchist in all that you do, but you don't have to just be like, okay, this is my label, this is what I am. No. Why? Why do that?
Why do you have to do that? You don't have to. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And the crux of it all is like people, there's so much gender and sexual identity confusion in our society. But when the healthier and the more anchored we are in our bodies, including our genitals, the easier it is to just know who you are, to feel who you are. And then you realize, and many of our students have given us this feedback that like, oh, I thought I was gay, or I thought I was straight, or this or that, and I realized I'm so much more than any little label could ever encompass. I am everything. I am limitless.
When you look at language, it's like, okay, when I say this word gay, it's a sound. It's literally a sound. How could a sound ever encompass all that you are? How could a word, of course I understand language is powerful, has a very important place in the world, but we sometimes miss the mark when it's like, that's a rock. It's like, no, that's actually this type of mineral and this atom and this electron, if we're to explain all that it is. So what I'm trying to say is don't let a word become what you are. Don't let language, which there's so many different expressions of language anyways, like it's a way to point at something, but it's not the thing, and we miss the mark oftentimes because we're like, oh, I know what that is because I said what it is. It's like, you have no fucking idea what it is unless you're being it. So be yourself.
Be who you are.
And you'll find out who you are.
Just be you. At the beginning of every Kundalini yoga class, we did the teacher's oath, and it is, I am not a man, I am not a woman, I am not a person, I am not myself, I am a teacher. And that goes for everything. I'm not gay, I'm not straight, I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm not Jewish, I'm not spick, I'm not crippled, I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm not trans, I'm a teacher. And because we're in the Aquarian age, you are your own teacher. And we can be inspired by each other, but the guru is now within. And so Brian and I are here to just reawaken your inner teacher, because your inner teacher is juicy. Your inner teacher is erotic, because eroticism is your natural frequency. Mm-hmm. Lust is the pinched off matrix version of your true nature, which is erotic. Mm-hmm. And since I've been doing sexual kung fu, semen retention, eating liver, doing detoxes every day in terms of consuming small amounts of humic and fulvic acid to get rid of the pesticides in my body, I feel more and more erotic with every passing day. And there's nothing more life-giving than being a human who feels juicy in their own skin. And it's all about having good daily habits that allow us to embody that frequency. Mm-hmm. And the crux of it all is sexual kung fu. Kung fu just means daily practice. Mm-hmm. So Brian and I are going to share with you daily practices from these ancient lineages in a modern context that's accessible, so that you can actually craft your own good daily practice that will keep you in your erotic prowess, your potency, and your highest version.
Yeah, again, well said, man. It's really and the word eroticism, I think, I didn't understand it at first, so maybe if you don't understand, just to give a little bit more context, like, I see eroticism and lust, they're connected, but we get stuck in lust, and lust is like that spark, it's that initial like, I want, but lust creates illusion because it makes things separate. So it's like, I want that. I want something means something is separate from me. Eroticism is like taking that in, the lustful energy. Oh my gosh, it feels so good. And then you realize that's you. That's actually your love. That's your eros. And the whole erotic kind of container of like making an experience out of yourself and your energy and loving yourself. We have lost this beautiful dance of sexual energy. So that's what we're here to do, is to show you the dance and show you that men can do this too, women can do this, and it is our fucking birthright to be in these states of pleasure. There's nothing wrong with being in those states of pleasure.
There's nothing. It really is, and that's what the Kundalini Yoga say too, is happiness is your birthright. But how can you be fully happy if you're not connected to your penis and your balls?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? In Chinese medicine, the penis is the uttermost extension of the heart. Are you both in relationships with women? Brian I think you're a free agent now.
Oh no, I'm still in a relationship. Yeah.
So he's in a relationship with a woman, and I'm a free agent. I'm kind of did monk mode for the last few years because I realized I was a love addict. And so I needed some time of celibacy to really reappropriate my power into my own being. And so now I'm like just being ready to date again. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
It's important it's such a classic thing to say, but I'm just going to say it again, there's not a lot of use in trying to find a romantic partner if you really don't know on a deep level what your needs are, what you need, like unapologetically what your needs are, what your boundaries are. I'm saying that from experience. The reason my partner and I are having like physical space and less communication is because I was not able to communicate my needs, my boundaries, how I didn't know those things. And that's all what self-love is about. It's really about, it's not about like always taking a bath and like, you know, being, self-love. No, it's about being like, this is not acceptable for me. This is what I really need. This is how I need to be communicated to. I don't want to be talked to at these times. Like, self-love is, love is actually just energy. It's acceptance of all things. So we have this romantic mammalian version of love, but you know what the universe thinks about love? Energy. Mm-hmm. Creation. Anything that's created is unconditional love. We have this like fluffy idea that it's like, oh, love feels nice. No, it doesn't always feel nice, actually. No. It's like the universe just wants to create things, and as long as it's being created, then it's love. But anyways, for a human context, like, get to know yourself first, and when you know yourself first, then that person will come, just like everything else in life.
Yes. Make how you feel in your own body more interesting more often than the thoughts going on in your head. Mm-hmm. So that you can be the loving beacon that you're designed to be. So if we come down into our bodies right now, we can share with you guys a quick practice that we're going to be teaching during the challenge called testicle breathing.
Oh yeah, one sec. Someone says, actually this awesome individual I'll do a call with. Yeah, I would recommend, like if someone's saying, should I do one-on-ones with both of you? Yeah, I mean, it would be good because Will and I have a different way of delivering this information. So what I would always recommend is like, get on a call with us, a discovery call, to see what we're about. And I always say to people, like, the most important thing is not what the coach says they have to offer, it's how you feel with them. Because anyone, like, you're not buying information from a coach. You're not buying sex kung fu from us. You're not buying self-pleasuring techniques. You can find all this information online. What you're buying is our ability to hold space and our wisdom, because we actually have the wisdom. We've experienced it. We've put the knowledge and the experience together. So you're buying wisdom. You're not buying information. Mm-hmm. So never try to buy information from people. Buy who they are, how they offer information, and how they seem to embody themselves. Mm-hmm. That's a way better way to figure out who you should work with than just like, oh, I can get like this information from them. You can
get that on ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's throw some testicular breathing.
Yeah, ChatGPT can't hold space though. It's not a real thing. So that's where the humans come in.
Yeah.
I just see here. I've been shocked how porn masturbation keeps coming back in. I've been working on separating the orgasm versus ejaculation. Do you have a suggestion on best practices and expected timeline? Yeah, so the testicle breathing that we're going to show you guys now will help with that. Really love your heart, Will. Thank you for your shared presence. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's beautiful. We got 2 lives going on.
There you go.
Actually, a quick note, and before we jump into the testicular breathing, and maybe you can mention on this as well, I think it's really important that 2 things. Yeah, these practices help a ton with porn addiction because you're learning to get aroused by yourself and not external stimulation. Also, you're learning to lower the threshold of dopamine requirement. So if your brain expects a certain amount of stimulation, it's going to be hard for you to not keep that up. Mm-hmm. But what was I going to say? Oh, semen retention. Everyone's talking about it, right? Like, hold your seed. It's becoming more in vogue. And what I would say is, like, there is... I would recommend actually getting guided on how to do that properly, because you can just hold your seed, but if you don't know how to move energy through your body and you're not acquainted enough to moving that energy, it probably will get stuck. Mm-hmm. And think of like putting too much, energy into any system. Like, it's not good to have too much energy stuck in a place. It needs to be flowing. Like, water needs to be flowing through the ravines and everything like that. So it's good to have guidance to know how to actually circulate the energy, and we'll show you in the challenge how to do that.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are into like NoFap. The NoFap community basically states that dudes should never touch themselves, they should never look at porn, and they should basically never even look at their penis. And what happens is these dudes, they'll self-shame themselves because they'll last maybe 3 weeks and then they'll have a wet dream, or they'll relapse and look at porn and then they'll feel horrible because they haven't actually transmuted their energy. They're just holding it in, but then they just get blue balls and they get angry and bitchy. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing here is we're taking it to the next level, which is sexual transmutation. Napoleon Hill wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich in the 1920s, and it's a very seminal personal development work. One of the chapters is called Sexual Transmutation. He says men who have very high sex drives, who know how to transmute that energy, are usually the most successful in life with relationships, with business, etc. But he never actually said how to do it. So this is how to do it. We're going to show you right now. Yeah. Step 1. What does your vitality feel like between your legs. What does your potency feel like right now in your ovaries, your testes, your penis, your clitoris, your prostate, and your Skene's gland? And if you're a male, just letting your balls really hang. If you're in a place where you can be naked, I invite you to take off your clothes and just let your balls just hang like a fucking minotaur over the side of the couch. And just inhale and let your balls drop further. And as you exhale, pull up slightly on the balls and the anus. Inhaling, the balls drop. Exhale, pull the balls up. Gently squeezing the anus. The anus is like our rudder in sexual kung fu that helps us shunt the energy to different places in our body. So today, let's shunt it up into our low bellies, the lower dantian, the medicine field. So when most men that I work with, when I invite them to focus on their nuts, I say, what do you feel? Most men can feel a slight tingling sensation. Some men can't feel anything. So what we can do to enhance the sensation, what we call the self-sensory system of the penis and balls, is to focus on them more and say out loud, I am shameless, I am fearless, I am doubtless. Because fear in the present moment is fear in the past is shame, and fear in the future is doubt. And we're literally going to the place in our body where most people have been the most traumatized, and we're actually reparenting it, and we're learning how to imbue it with our consciousness once more. We call this the spirit womb, the anus, the sex organ, the navel. So draw your attention right down into your balls and your penis. Feel that juicy tingling sensation. If you don't feel it, that's okay. Just visualize a beautiful golden liquid light spiraling up the back, down the front of each testicle. And then as you exhale, pull your sac up, squeeze your anus, and feel and imagine and visualize the energy rising up from your balls into your lower belly. And just keep doing that for a few more moments. And when you do it with other dudes, even in a virtual context, your testicles will start to communicate with the other dude's testicles in the sacred circle. Steel sharpening steel. So you'll actually get more out of it when you do it naked with other dudes. Even with clothes on, I can feel my testicles communicating with Brian's, saying it is safe to be alpha. It is safe for the balls to fully drop and just hang like a fucking lion.
Yeah, the hardest part about these practices, which is, I'd say, the opposite of what most people think. It's not the practice itself, it's the patience and the shifting of our mind. Our mind is primed to think that we need to do in order for something to happen. This is a practice of awareness, of reconnecting through felt perception. And so a lot of people, I think they're like, oh, okay, show me the secret. The secret is we must sit with ourselves, breathe, feel, and reawaken the subtlety of the energy moving through the body. And that's why consistency is needed, and that's why a paradigm shift is needed, because if you don't believe this will work, it won't. If you don't believe that the energy moving through your body is a thing, it won't happen. If you don't think that you can transform sexual energy throughout your whole body and alchemize it, it won't happen. You're an integral part to the process. You're co-creating with this process, and you're one of the most important parts. And people forget this. They think the world's happening to them. No, you're creating this experience with life, and if you don't meet it there, it won't happen. So that's the advice I can give you right now. It's probably thousands of dollars worth of value through wisdom experience. So when you're going through these practices, even if you don't feel anything, know that there's value in this sitting, in this connecting and feeling into the body. The body speaks in no words, and it loves when you give it your attention.
Yeah. Troy Casey taught me how to have energetic orgasm when I was in Hollywood. We did the cold plunge, and we were wearing he was wearing the US flag on his genitals, like a tighty whities thing with the US flag. And so he said, okay, now we're going to have energetic orgasm. And I was like, what? And then he's like, hey, just like shake and just be crazy. I was just like, oh. He's like, go harder. I was like, oh. And really, like, there is value in, if you can't feel, for example, your testes right now and the juiciness of your balls, really just like go to a place where you're kind of acting and really just bring your consciousness in there and just overdo it a little bit. in other words, don't be afraid of looking weird. WYRD, which means in alignment with your dharma. Don't be afraid of looking strange to people still stuck in the matrix. If the NPCs think you're strange, you're doing the right thing, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I actually love that you bring that up. I think, so this co-creating idea. Also, the energy orgasm as a spectrum. When I first started working with it, even now I can squeeze my gates, my perineum, my anus, and I can push up a little bit, and I feel a little jolt, and that's like a little energy. I feel that little, ooh. So it's kind of like, just because you can't drive, or just because you don't know how to pilot a spaceship, doesn't mean you don't know how to drive a car. Doesn't mean you don't know how to ride a bike.
Yeah,
so don't cut yourself off and say, oh, I didn't turn into Shiva during this energy orgasm. I didn't have it. No, you feel a little surge of energy. That's the energy orgasm. We got to nurture it, and it like grows and builds over time. Sometimes the energy gets stuck until we move the energy in an energy center so it can move up more. So it's like everything in life. It's not just like black or white, and it's better that way, because then the energy orgasm is a dynamic relationship that you get to nurture over time.
Feels so juicy.
So good.
Oh my god, it's like so deep.
Now we're going to go into where Brian is from the UK.
He's from the UK and I'm from Sydney.
Right.
I actually grew up in Tasmania. That's why I'm a little wild. You know what I mean?
That explains why he's got all that going on.
No, like the hairy beard and the Blundstone boots. I like a good thick boot.
When I hear Blundstone boots, I think of Blunderfield.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, I wanted to answer before we go. Someone said, "Oh, Will, if I'm recovery from sex and love, am I able to do these practices?"
Oh yeah, that's what helped me recover from sex and love addiction for sure.
Yeah,
because when you can make love to yourself, then you're less apt to go on to dating apps mindlessly for hours and hours and hours, like I used to, because you go, oh, breathing into my balls actually feels way better than basically draining my life force energy on these apps all the time, or even going into Pornhub and just shooting your energy into the internet sex beast and having him just gobble it all up like a little gremlin.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to like direct anyone away from it necessarily, like a program they're in, but what I would say is like this is a tricky thing, because the things that we offer aren't conventional, and a lot of the pathways that are out there that are conventional, that are like certified, or they say this works, they're not including the full picture. And I believe sometimes people abstain from the thing that they're trying to heal from, but the thing that you want to heal from is the thing you need to approach.
Yes.
That's not to say continue having sex. It means, what I mean is, you need to connect to your sexual energy if you want to heal the problems you have with sex. It's like you have an issue with alcohol, you have to like sit with yourself and your issue with alcohol and like address that relationship. There's running away from it, abstaining from it isn't always the answer. We actually have to go to those places within ourselves. So
yes, and we heal in circle.
Yeah,
the ancestors knew that. They would do these rituals together, brother to brother, boner to boner. The wisdom of our ancestors is in our boners. And so when we actually reappropriate our consciousness down into the mushroom, when you see the mushroom of your bro, for example, you're actually seeing the outermost extension of his heart. When you smile down with appreciation at your own mushroom, you're actually sending love into your own heart.
Yeah.
So it's a very spiritual thing. And Shaman Wendy Mandy, she says anything done outside of ceremony, including sex, is not good for humans. So you'll see when you join this challenge that Brian and I really have a lot of reverence for these practices, and we really lead the men through it in a very ceremonial way.
Yeah, it's all very ceremonial, especially the ejaculation. It's like that. The way that I see things, the more potent and powerful an experience, the more intention, and the more ceremonial process, the more you really need to pour into it. Because yes, you can just have an ejaculation, it's super powerful, but then there's all these other costs that come at that. Depleting your system, constantly wanting it. And there are things that are much more potent than just an ejaculation that last longer and can feel better,
Yes. Fake it till you become it.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid of kind of like when you're learning how to separate orgasm from ejaculation. If you feel a beautiful, joyful, life-giving sensation in your nuts, feel it. Like, really go there. The opposite of depression is expression. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like,
right?
Oh, so juicy.
Don't be afraid of looking strange.
Yeah. Someone actually asked a really interesting question on your live about resources for raising a young man. Like a child is 8, daughter is 11.
Multi-Orgasmic Man and Multi-Orgasmic Woman by Montauk Chia.
Yeah, and I'd say with kids, like, again, I don't have kids, but one thing that I heard about teaching kids that I found really impactful is, like, well, one, know that kids from the age of birth to 7, they're mostly in theta brainwaves, so they're sponges, like, they're being programmed. And children, I think it's better to prime children to be inquisitive. So, you know, instead of telling them, this is the way things are, like, you could be like, this is the way things are now, but what do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
How would you address this problem? Why do you think that's an issue? You want to teach your child to question things and to have an inquisitive mind, not just listen and obey everything. It's important that we question things. So I think, you know, when parents try to just tell them, this is the way things are, this is how life is, they're conditioning them to be like, okay, this is what I see and this is what's available. But if you teach a kid that, hey, you like what you put out into the world is what you're gonna get, and you play a huge part in this, man, that's such a gift. Like, to condition your kid to see that they are co-creating with life. Teach them to learn, teach them to be excited about learning, and then they'll want to do that stuff.
Yeah, and don't tell them that masturbation is bad. Masturbation comes from the root word to self-pollute, whereas in the Tao, it's called solo cultivation, because you're actually cultivating your wellness and your health through the practice of self-pleasure. So yeah, just let them play with themselves and don't shame them.
Yeah, actually that's such a good point. Education around, I think there's a lot of you know, sometimes parents are like, oh, we don't want to share all this stuff. Of course, it depends on the age if they can understand, but as soon as a child starts playing with themselves, just, you know, explain to them what's going on. Like, this is a sexual thing, and like, this can be a powerful experience, and like, you want to be, you know, like, asking people if you can do these things, because like, kids, they don't know. When I was a kid, I was just like playing around with my brother's dick and all this stuff, and what, you know, my parents didn't know better, but they like freaked out at me, and then I got freaked out, and I was like, oh, this is bad, this is wrong. So instead of instilling fear, again, instilling respectful communication and instilling curiosity instead of like, don't do that. It's like, yeah, okay, so we got to talk about how to do it, how to do this,
when to do it. Yeah, I used to play doctor with like all of my little friends when I was like 3. Like, we would like look at each other's penises and vaginas. Like, my friends, they would come over, these 2 girls, and we would like, he's like, let's play doctor. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And I would call their clitorises their pick-picks. Yeah. I was like, can I see your pick-pick? And so it's very normal for like little kids to want to do that kind of stuff.
Totally, it is. And that's the thing, kids are not as programmed. They're like, they have so much Jing Qi, they have so much like life force energy, and they have so much access to their gifts. But usually what closes us off is we tell them, no, that thing you're seeing is not real. No, you're not seeing any energy. No, there's no one talking to you. Only the material world is real, and then we close off all their gifts.
They even have in the DSM, there's a dis-ease, like for psychiatrists, that they diagnose children with. It's called magical thinking. They say it's a disorder, or like it's a problem. Yeah. Like, no, it's actually very real and natural.
Totally. On your, so to the individual on Will's Live, the Dr. Matthew Gamble, please send me a direct message. You have some interesting offers and things going on. I don't know where Napa Valley is, but
I think that's in Cali.
Oh, let's chat. Yeah, we've been wanting to. We've actually been looking for places to host a retreat, but it's always good to know awesome humans. So
yeah,
Dr. Matthew Gamble, if you're still on there, send me a message. Send Will a message. We want to chat.
OMG, we got a video on it Sunday at church.
Yeah, we got to do a church sermon.
Church sermon. Yeah. So at the end of the day, these are very, very traditional life ways. When people criticize me, like, "Oh, your work is not traditional," I'm like, "Well, actually, yogis didn't practice in Lululemon."
Yeah.
And before the British and then the Mughals in the 15th century colonized India, the Indian forms of yoga invariably were very erotically charged. You know, there were practices where dudes would get naked and then wrap their penises around poles, wooden poles, and the other dudes would stand on the poles to strengthen the cock of their bro and also to symbolize their devotion to God. And that's one of many, many practices. There were genital displays where when you became a man, you display your cock and balls to your bros. There was naked Olympics. The first 100 Olympics were done by naked men, and only men were allowed to watch. There is a technology in feeling comfortable being naked around other men that has been lost on modern men. No wonder people are sick, sad, and depressed and impotent. You can sharpen and charge up your yang, your procreative potentiality and urges by hanging out naked with other men, as long as you don't go into shame. And that's why we say, may the energy I'm sensing from others be cleared away, transmuted completely, and return to source now. Thank you. And it's just a very beautiful experience. And so many dudes are reawakening because so many dudes are getting into like microdosing, plant medicines, breath work, good daily habits, cold plunging, which strengthens the nervous system so you can channelize the energy better, semen retention, sexual kung fu. These things are becoming more and more mainstream. Look at Wim Hof. He's all over Tony Robbins conferences. He's all over Netflix and the Goop Labs with Gwyneth Paltrow. So as men reawaken, they go, oh, just doing stretchy yoga isn't enough. You can do all the downward dogs you want in the world, but if you've got blockages in your sexual center, it's not really going to help. That's where this type of yoga comes in to fill a huge gap in the wellness industry.
So well said. I think that's going to be all for now because we're just paying attention to the time and we got to run. We got to go to lunch. But yeah, that's a lot of awesome, juicy information. And again, join the challenge. It's starting on Monday.
Yes. Somebody's just saying, we don't want to see most men naked. They are not treating their body as a temple. But see, that's the thing. We're helping to pull men out of the matrix. And so many men's bodies have been somewhat pinched off from source. And so sometimes the body's a little bloated. Sometimes the penis has shrunk a little bit because of the atrazine chemicals in the diet. But we're not judging. We're not judging our bodies for being a little bit pinched off. We're saying, hey, show up as you are, no shame. And it's really a form of strength training. When you just show up with your naked body exactly as it is, in its beautiful imperfection, and you love it up, you actually start to grow your penis again. It's kind of like a flower growing towards the light. When you feed it correctly with good thoughts and loving awareness, it will start to reappropriate back into its original version, its wild beastie version.
Exactly. All right, well, much love, everyone. Thank you for your time and your presence. Hope to see you on Monday. And if not, have a beautiful weekend and week next week.
Yes, manhoodacademy.podia.com/5day.
Yeah.
And the link is both in Brian's bio as well as mine. And also you can follow us on Twitter, because Elon Musk has taken over. Now we can be completely ourselves in terms of the sexual kung fu and the freedom of all types of offerings. So just head over to twitter.com/Mr. Dex Parker and twitter.com/W Blunderfield.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Satnam.